What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got our Week 4 fantasy football quarterback starts and sits for every single matchup. So make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin. Continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And we kick off Week 4 with the Dolphins at the Bengals. While I do like both of these quarterbacks here, Tua and Joe Burrow respectively, I have them both listed as starts. I think they're probably both more so in the quarterback 2 category for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, historically, at least this season, and honestly even prior ones, these Thursday night matchups, short weeks, don't precipitate a lot of high-scoring affairs, so take that into account. For Tua, you've got a situation where, he got banged up last week, so maybe that potentially explains some of the issues that he had and the Dolphins offense had in terms of higher scoring upside in Week 3. So he might not be 100%. That's what I'm getting at here, but I still do like both of these guys as starters, more so just in the high-end quarterback 2. And with Joe Burrow, he had a great game versus the Jets. But again, this Dolphins team, a little bit different of a story than that of the Jets. So temper the expectations a little bit. I wouldn't have Joe Burrow as a top 5, borderline top 5 quarterback like I did last week. But let's move on. We've got the Vikings at the Saints here. Now, if this was a normal game and this was being played in the Superdome in New Orleans, I'd have Kirk Cousins as a sit. But no, this is going to be a game abroad in London. So it's a situation where Kirk Cousins, doesn't really have to deal with that rolled New Orleans crowd. And I do think that's a bit of an advantage. Sure, he has to deal with Lattimore and a stingy Saints defense. But I think that, he can still be pretty much what you expect of Kirk Cousins. That's a mid-level quarterback, too. That's what you're looking for here. The Vikings offense, they've got the pieces. Dalvin Cook potentially not being available for this game could be a little bit of a deterrent, but the pass catchers are still there. I expect Justin Jefferson to bounce back here sooner rather than later. I have Kirk Cousins as a mid-level quarterback, too. And then for the Saints, really, regardless of who starts, whether it's Jameis Winston with that hurt back or Andy Dalton, I don't like either one of these guys. The Saints typically have been in these low-scoring offensive games for the majority of these couple of weeks, at least for the first 3 quarters. Then you just have to rely on a magical fourth quarter where they put up a bunch of points. That is not the formula for success. In real life NFL and in fantasy football. If Winston plays, he's going to be less than 100%. Andy Dalton, we don't really know what this offense looks like with him at quarterback, so I'm passing on both of these options. Then Seahawks at the Lions. I'll start Jared Goff. I'm not scared away by this matchup. I think it's another favorable matchup for the Lions. The offense has been getting it done week after week after week. Now, I will say Amon-Ra St. Brown, his ankle injury is one to monitor. Hopefully, he ends up playing, because if he doesn't, this Lions offense will take a step back. DeAndre Swift, also my guess, he doesn't play either. So they might be a little bit limited, but it's the Seahawks. They don't scare me. I think Goff can be a decent, again, mid-level quarterback 2 on the week. For the Seahawks, sure, I understand it's a good matchup, but Geno Smith is not one of these quarterbacks that, lights it up, does something crazy like that. And I think it's going to be a game where, they try and establish the run, things like that. It's going to depend a lot on game flow. I just right now don't have a lot of faith in Geno Smith. Then Jets at the Steelers. As much as I am not a fan of Mitch Trubisky, and I don't think he has it, we do have to recognize the opportunity here for him, at least for fantasy football purposes, and that is going up against the New York Jets. He did it in his time in Chicago when he had subpar opponents and good defensive matchups. He was able to take advantage of them. I think he can do the same here. I have him as a high-end quarterback, too. For the Jets, Zach Wilson expected to make his season debut. That's great. This ain't the opponent you want to do that against in the Steelers defense. I have him as a sit. I think, a couple games maybe down the road, different situation. In his debut versus the Steelers, no thank you. Then Bears at the Giants. This one's super simple. Don't start any one of these guys. They should be on your waiver wire. Justin Fields, I mean, the Bears are dead last in terms of pass attempts. This offense, in terms of passing, is anemic. Daniel Jones, you just can't rely on this Giants offense. Their top pass catcher, Shepard, out for the season. It's Saquon Barkley and then Daniel Jones once in a while when he's not making a mistake, does something all right, but that's not enough, to be a viable fantasy quarterback starter. Afterwards, we got the Titans at the Colts. I'll start Ryan Tannehill. This Colts team as a whole has been a bit underwhelming. I think right now the Titans are in a portion of their schedule where they can take advantage of some of these opponents, and Ryan Tannehill can have some success. So I think he's a decent streaming option to low to mid-level quarterback too. Matt Ryan, I still have as a sit. I think it's a situation, especially if Jonathan Taylor doesn't play. He's showing up on some injury reports right now where this Colts offense is going to just be looking at Matt Ryan too much, too dependent on him, putting him in those situations. And I think he's going to be making a lot of mistakes. I know this Titans defense can be taken advantage of, but right now I just don't have faith in Matt Ryan. Even when the Colts won last week, shockingly, versus the Kansas City Chiefs, Matt Ryan didn't do anything amazing. So I'm going to continue to have him as a sit until we get just an awesome matchup. Then Chargers at the Texans. I didn't think Justin Herbert would play last week, but against all odds, he did, and he actually did all right. Now, the Chargers got blown out, but Herbert still played well, and I think that can be the case here versus the Texans. This Texans defense doesn't scare me at all. I anticipate, a lot of Austin Eckler. If Keenan Allen returns as well, that's going to be a little bit of a boost. So I do like Justin Herbert here. Again, considering he's hurt, he's not a top 5 guy for me, but he's a low-end quarterback one. And then I'm sitting Davis Mills. I know the Chargers are hurt right now, but Davis Mills is not a viable fantasy quarterback. He might have 1 or 2 big-time weeks during the season, but overall, no thank you. Then we get to the Browns at the Falcons. Weirdly enough, I'm starting both quarterbacks here. Go figure. That's what we've gotten to here in 2022. Jacoby Brissett versus this Falcons defense I think it's a decent matchup. He's had some okay success these last couple of weeks, getting his footing underneath him. And with Nick Chubb, with Kareem Hunt, with Amari Cooper, and Njoku, I think he can put together, again, a low to mid-level quarterback 2 performance. And same with Marcus Mariota. You've got Drake London, you've got Kyle Pitts, Cordero Patterson's playing well. The Browns have been giving up a lot of points. I think the Falcons at home can have some success, and I have both these guys as a viable quarterback 2 starts. Then Commanders at Cowboys. I'm sitting both these guys. The Cowboys defense has been pretty good to kick off the season. Carson Wentz, mistake-prone type of guy. I think this will be a lower scoring affair. And, the passing upside won't be there for Wentz, so I'm sitting him. And then Cooper Rush, I think he's just a quarterback, regardless of the matchup, that is right around 200 yards and then a touchdown, 2 if you're lucky. I think the Cowboys are going to look to establish the run here versus the Commanders' defense, and then just have Rush be that game manager that he can be, because this is the type of opponent that they can win that type of game against. So I don't like the upside with either one of these quarterbacks here. They're both sits in my eyes. Afterwards, Jags at the Eagles. I'll start both these guys. I like the high-scoring upside in this game. Trevor Lawrence, I think, can be a top 10 quarterback play on the week. That offense has been doing well. This Eagles offense is also very high-octane. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth battle. Obviously, I do have Jalen Hurts ranked higher. I think he is a top 5 quarterback on the week because of his rushing upside, even though the Jaguars defense has been a bit stingy. So this could potentially be one of the more disappointing weeks so far in the early part of the season from Jalen Hurts. But either way, he is also a start. Then Bills at the Ravens. This is the easiest start decision of the entire week. I think Bills-Ravens is going to be the highest scoring game, back and forth, 30-plus points from both these squads, both high-end rushing upside type of quarterbacks. I think these guys finish 1 and 2 in that order. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, must starts. Then we've got the Cardinals at the Panthers. Only one quarterback you want to be starting here. That's Kyler Murray. Yes, I know that last week he didn't score a single touchdown, disappointing performance, but this Panthers defense is going to be a little bit of an easier matchup. I think the Panthers in general, not that great of a team. Kyler Murray should have success here. I think he is due for a borderline top 5 performance on the week. If there's any week where this Cardinals offense can break out, I think it's versus Carolina. Then on the other side, Baker Mayfield, you sit him. He should be on the waiver wires. It's not even a question. Just the Panthers offensively, they're broken. Baker Mayfield is not a viable passing quarterback right now in terms of volume for fantasy purposes. Again, the pass attempts just not there. He is single-handedly ruining guys like DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, who, by the way, might not play this week. So just a pass on all accounts. Then Broncos at the Raiders. I'll start both these quarterbacks. I think Russell Wilson does have the higher upside. I think that he is in a much better game here versus the Raiders compared to the 49ers last week. And, I really like the Broncos' offensive upside in this game as a whole. For Derek Carr, a bit of a tougher matchup, but I think he can be a solid mid-level quarterback too here. I anticipate this will be a back-and-forth game. Give me Derek Carr as a solid mid-level quarterback to start. Then Patriots at the Packers. I'm sitting both these guys. You would expect Mac Jones to be here, but he suffers that ankle injury. So Brian Hoyer under center for the Patriots, no thank you. I think this Packers defense is going to have a lot of success here. I'm sitting Brian Hoyer. I wouldn't even contemplate him. And then Aaron Rodgers, I'm sitting him here. This isn't to say that the Packers won't have a good game, but I just don't think Aaron Rodgers needs to be the reason why. I think he can be the defense. I think he can be the rushers. Therefore, Rodgers can be that game manager quarterback, which doesn't translate to fantasy success, so I'm sitting him here. Then Chiefs at the Bucks. I'll start both these guys, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Good news for Tom Brady is that he gets Mike Evans back. We'll see on guys like Chris Godwin and Julio Jones, but just Mike Evans returning is a great, great sign for this offense. Also playing the Chiefs, a high-octane offense, is going to force Tom Brady to throw it a little bit more, so I do like his upside. I have him as a high-end quarterback too. And then, yes, Patrick Mahomes, tough matchup versus this Bucs defense on the road. But you drafted Mahomes as a top 5 quarterback. You're not going to sit him regardless of the opponent. I think he'll be a borderline top 5 play on the week. Then Rams at the 49ers. I'll start Matthew Stafford. Again, tough matchup versus the 49ers, but when you got guys like Cooper Kupp, Higbee, Allen Robinson, I'm going to take a chance on Matthew Stafford. Jimmy Garoppolo, though, is a sit. His career versus the Rams, nothing all that special, averaging, less than a touchdown and a half when facing them. So I would rather just, not get too cute here and wait for a better matchup compared to this divisional clash. So I'm sitting Jimmy Garoppolo. But with that, we wrap up our week 4 fantasy football quarterback starts and sits for every single matchup. As always, if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, did you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.